of content here. I'm going to talk, I was thinking about talking fast, trying to get it all in, and I thought, no, I'm going to talk slow and explain it because this is good stuff. But normally I would give a client attraction workshop in person, and it would probably be a good 2 hours with exercises and time to socialize and things like that. So please just have the handout for later in case you get overwhelmed, but you definitely want to have a pen and paper to take notes. I have a warning for you. When you put streamlined systems, automated tasks, consistent messaging, a polished brand, and boost your visibility, this can create business growth, attract new clients. It can allow you to raise your prices, fill your practice, and feel proud of your accomplishments. So a lot of times after you take a class like this, you might feel like overwhelmed with things to do. That's the opposite of what I want you to feel after you implement these systems. So be ready, things may change for you. I do want to go over a couple of guidelines. This participant guide is helpful. If you don't have it, just have a pen and paper handy. Plan to stay for the full hour. After the presentation, I'll stay and answer your questions as long. You're going to have so many ideas, and some of you will have a few questions, and you'll have some things. I'll stay afterwards and answer those. Try to be fully present if you can, because this is really good stuff. Try please not to come and go, because that's very distracting to the other people in here at the workshop. And keep your camera, microphone muted. Yes, this will be recorded. Even when I talk slowly, I go pretty fast. So yes, it will be recorded. And yes, you can share this recording with anybody that you wished had been here live today, okay? I am going right into this, friends. We're gonna talk right away. What is client attraction? And to understand that, I want you to know a little bit about marketing. There's two kinds of marketing commonly known. We have push marketing and pull marketing. They're different, but neither one of them is wrong, right? You're gonna choose one way to grow your business, either push marketing or pull marketing. Let's start with push marketing, okay? So you see the little image I have there on the sticky note. When I think of push marketing as a marketer and as a business owner, when I think of push marketing, this is the image that I kind of get in my head, right? So the woman, when I think of push marketing, I think about the woman on Facebook who is selling the yoga pants or the eyelashes or, you know, that mascara, the fiber mascara. It's just constant, 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 constant. Or it could be, you know, I hate to do it to the car selling guys, but they have that reputation. It could be that company that's always in your face. You hear the same ad on the radio that you see on the TV, that you see on a billboard. That it's just constantly pushing their word out. Now, we're going to talk about tactics and strategies, and the tactics around push marketing. So you know, that is usually somebody that has something they want to sell. It's usually something that's a transaction. They're interested in making a transaction. If it's a woman selling that high fiber mascara, you guys have all gotten messages from her on Facebook, right? She's just in a contest to sell 50 mascaras this month. Or the people who are doing, you know, like the QVC. That is transactional. They want to sell you this, or they want to sell you this. They're not interested in a long-term relationship with you. They're interested in hitting their targets, hitting their goal. It is a business seeking a client. That's the biggest thing that you need to know about push marketing. The business is seeking the client. A lot of times it's highly visible. It's usually very expensive. It's constant. A lot of times they will use fear-based tactics. You know, my dad was in the hospital a couple years ago, and I realized I just had this aha moment, because my dad used to like to watch old TV. And one time when he was in intensive care at the hospital, I had my computer, this computer right here, and my phone hooked me on the internet, and we were watching some old shows on YouTube. And this really old commercial about Firestone tires came on. It was from like the 1970s. And it was a picture of an executive man, right? and looking at a car and looking at the tires on the car. And then there's a picture of, a very petite wife with, that girl hair and high heels. And the man speaking said, you wouldn't want your wife out at night with bad tires, right? That's fear-based tactics. You better get the better tires because you wouldn't want to risk her safety, right? So fear-based tactics are really common. Don't want to miss out. You don't want to lose that. This is happening, right? You're going to miss. That's fear-based. So it's usually always transactional. So, most people here today are not interested in that. The kind of methods that push marketers use, a lot of times billboard, they pay a little extra for their TV ads. Did you know that? You could pay extra for your TV ads to turn the volume up a little bit. So high volume TV and radio. The push marketer is going to have a vendor table or be a sponsor at a trade show. They're going to use aggressive social media. They still do direct mail, even text messaging. They spend a lot of money. Now let's talk about pull marketing, which is what client attraction is. Okay, so in my mind, when I think of pull marketing, this is the image that I get. Oh, it's just warm and cuddly and relationship based. I'm not going to be pushy and salesy. That's the image that I get in mind when I think about pull marketing. And some of the tactics are, when you're doing pull marketing, it is the client seeking the experts. The client is saying, do you know anybody that can help me with? I need an expert, or I need a solution for this. They're Googling, they're asking their friends, they're looking things up. They're looking for a solution to their problem, and they find you. So you're you're going to be out there with consistent messaging, solutions-based offers. You're going to be more relational. In other words, this isn't a transaction, a one-time transaction. We're going to be in a relationship, in a serving relationship where I'm solving your problems for a while. Sometimes it's for a few months, sometimes it's for a few years, and some of us have had clients for many, many years. Multiple sales are usually involved with pull marketing tactics. The methods of pull marketing are visibility. Visibility is when you go to a conference and you introduce yourself to somebody, or you're at a fundraiser, you introduce yourself to somebody, another professional, and they say, I think I've heard of you. Seems to me I know your name from somewhere, right? So a pull marketing method is having yourself visible as a professional, having yourself known as an expert, offering helpful resources, being a speaker. So remember before in push marketing, I said radio ads, TV ads, social media, text message marketing. This is very different. Helpful resources, being a speaker, using blogs and articles to give your helpful resources. Referrals from other professionals. Some of my clients, when I start working with them, I say, tell me about your favorite client. Who's your best client? And so they tell me, and I say, where did that person come from? Oh, actually, that was a referral. So referrals can come from other happy clients, but the best referrals come from other professionals. When a professional person, your attorney or your banker or your therapist or your life coach, when they say, hey, I really know somebody who would be perfect. I know somebody who can solve that problem, right? Referrals like that, and publicity. Those are the different types of methods that we use to pull market. And the tools that we use are your website. Hopefully you have an email newsletter, or you'll be creating one soon. And remember I said before in the push marketing, it was displaying at a trade show. Push marketing is displaying at a trade show. Pull marketing is speaking at a trade show. Blogs and articles, and they would, for my clients, if they're not blogs on your website, and they're not articles on your website, they can be, but they're articles and blogs on other people's websites, hopefully websites that have high traffic. Media interviews and awards from the community or from the business community, those are pull marketing methods. So which is right for you? Today we're talking about client attraction. So I want to make sure you're in the right place. If you have a service-based offering. Some of you sell products, but you also sell a service in addition to that, and that's what sets you apart from your clients. But if you're trying to sell a service and create a relationship, and just instead of just a one-time transaction, client attraction can work for you. If you do not want to be salesy, this is right for you. If you have more time than you have money, this is right for you, because if you want to do something really fast in marketing, you can buy an ad, okay? Here, now those three things are pretty easy, but here's where people can get stuck. Client attraction is right for you if you are ready to be seen as an expert, if you are ready to step into your power, if you're okay and comfortable with being visible. And if you can either set aside time to do the work, or you can hire out help to do the work with you or for you. So hello, I'm Beth Caldwell, and I'm going to introduce you to, I think, one of the original grassroots marketer. You know, I worked in the airline industry for many years before I got married and had children. And these are my two boys, Brian and Kevin. And after Kevin got into kindergarten, I went back to work as a social worker. And prior to that, when the kids were home, I'd worked for the airlines, but in that time in between, I was with Mary Kay Cosmetics. I was a, lipstick and mascara salesperson, and I did very, very well with that. So after having that sort of time and money freedom, being home with the boys, I went back into social work. And I was only there for about a year and a half before I realized that these people were not going to let me change the world. That was my plan. And that was not a part of what they wanted to do. So I started my own business as the Pittsburgh Kids Directory. This was a little magazine directory that was really perfect for somebody like me who had that social work heart, but wanted to really follow through with some action. And so I started this business. Now I bought that business in 2005. And I made a little bit of a mistake. I only borrowed enough money to buy the business. I didn't borrow any extra money. And I can remember the first month when I wanted to mail my invoices, because back then in 2005, we did invoices and checks in the mail. There was no automated debit yet, only AOL had that. And I wanted to mail my invoices in envelopes that had like the Pittsburgh Kids Directory printed on the back, because I thought that would be very professional. You guys, $250 to custom imprint an envelope. I was like, are you kidding me? I had no idea. I didn't borrow money to join the chamber, to hire a marketing strategist, to work with a publicity firm, I didn't even borrow money to buy my business cards or to do any marketing materials. So you know what I did? I took those two boys up to Barnes & Noble in Robinson Township, and I read every marketing book that I could find. And I implemented the tactics that I've learned. And I implemented those tactics over the years. There were things that I did. I hung flyers on bulletin boards. I hosted events. I just did all kinds of grassroots marketing, and my business really did well. Now, printed magazines are not so hip anymore. So in about 2009, I started my own business consulting and marketing and coaching. And the positioning that I learned back in Barnes & Noble, 2004, 2005, has taught me to position myself, which has given me leverage, which has given me incredible success. I remember in the first time I was published in the Pittsburgh Business Times. I do not have a degree in marketing. I do not have a degree in writing, but yet I had an article on the back inside cover of the Pittsburgh Business Times. I won an award in 2012, the top 20 most influential top 20 most influential women on LinkedIn. I got to speak on stage with Susie Orman, and just after that, I got hired by Steve Harvey and worked with him for 4 years. I created a leadership academy for women and have written a bunch of books. And if you guys know and follow me, you probably know about those books. Everything I learned about marketing came from two things. That little time that I spent with Mary Kay, I learned a lot about confidence and positioning and sales through that. But everything that I learned about marketing a business, I learned in the bookstore. And those are the tactics that I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to give you 5. Are you ready? Okay, let me take a drink. I want to tell you, I've been ready for this since Saturday. I'm so glad today is here. Client attraction strategy number 1. If you have your guide, we're on page 2. If you have your guide. Oh, no, we're not. We're on a little bit. We're pretty far in there. If you have your guide, you want to take notes, you're on page number 6. Okay, position yourself as an expert. This is something that is easier than ever to do. Positioning only requires time and commitment, and you probably already have what you need. Now, remember the photo that I showed you a couple of slides ago, the lady with the megaphone and the guy who was like kind of slimy? When I'm working with you and positioning you as an expert, I want you to look like this woman. How many of you just feel like she has what you need, right? This is a type of energy that I want you to have, this confidence, competence, positioning. I feel very comfortable with whatever solution this woman is about to tell me, and that's the way I want every one of your potential clients to feel when they see you. And this happens through positioning. As I said, you may already have what you need. You may have a certification. If you don't have certification, you have experience. Maybe you have, like me, been published as a writer or have done some writing. Maybe if you're comfortable, not everybody's comfortable speaking in front of a group, but if you're comfortable speaking in front of a group, and I know some of you on here, some of you are excellent speakers. Let me tell you something. The person in the room with the microphone is always the most important person in the room. Speaking is a tremendous way to position yourself. Getting publicity, getting seen in the media, that's a whole entire workshop. Winning awards, and even aligning yourself with other people. So I don't know if this affected you or not, but when companies and organizations see that I have worked with Steve Harvey for 4 years, or that I've spoken on stage with Susie Orman, they feel very comfortable hiring me to speak to their audience because they know I must be a professional, or I wouldn't be working at that level. So aligning yourself with other people is a way to position yourself. You notice when I introduced myself, I didn't say where my college degree was from, what my certifications were in, but I showed you what my experience was. So positioning is a tool. Let me give you some examples. This is one of my clients. This is Hillary. Now, Hillary, I made this up. I want to tell you, this beginning one was not what she had as her bio, but a very simple way to introduce yourself. Hillary owns a voice studio where students of all ages come to learn singing, piano, guitar. So if somebody said, what do you do? She could say, or if we were writing her bio, we could say, Hillary Klein-Renzi is a professional singer, and she's the owner and founder of Higher Voice Studios. Hillary, I actually copied that last part right off your LinkedIn. Or what would you think if I said this? Classically trained opera singer and former rock band vocalist, Hillary Klein-Renzi is the creator of the Higher Voice singing method. The method is used by performers and instructors nationwide. Her students have performed on The Tonight Show, routinely earned top spots in national talent competitions, and are accepted by the most prestigious schools in the country. Isn't Hillary just a little more impressive now, okay? Now, this is an introductory or short bio, or this would be something that I would put at the bottom of a blog or an article. Or if I had Hillary being interviewed on television, you know how if somebody's being interviewed on television and they're not in the studio, they'll have their picture just like this, and underneath of it will say your name. And so if Hillary were on TV being interviewed, it would say probably Hillary Klein-Renzi, classically trained opera singer, or creator of the Higher Voice singing method. It would depend on what the interview was about, right? But being interviewed on national TV is a great way to create that sort of visibility, like, haven't I seen you somewhere, right? So you can shorten this as well. But Hillary has a lot more. We have to be brief in that initial introduction and that initial taste of visibility. It has to be just 2 or 3 sentences. But did you see how I put that she's a classically trained opera singer? And then I also aligned her with creating her own method and The Tonight Show. So that's pretty good positioning. As I said, some of these things you already have. Here's another example. This is my client, Christy, and Christy totally appropriately could say, Christy Mallory is an executive business coach, leadership development, and a leadership development expert. The little zoom button is up here in the right, so it's blocking some of my words. Let me move that down. Or Christy could say this instead in the same space. So I want you to imagine this beautiful picture of her and this little brief blurb about who she is and what she does at the bottom of a magazine article. Okay, executive leadership coach Christy Mallory is the director of the First Townsend Leadership Program in South Texas. When it comes to positioning and visibility, there are two really good terms that you can use. One of them is first. This is the first of its kind. This is the first ever, the original, right? The first. You could also use the only. You can interact those terms. Those are ways to position yourself as different from everybody else around you. Now, Christy is like many of us, you and me included, and wears more than one hat. She has different solutions that she offers to different audiences. A lot of people get stuck on how do I say what I do when I do more than one thing? Well, here's the answer to that. You just say what you're doing to that audience that you're about to be in front of. So if Christy has just written an article or a blog post on leadership development, this is the little bio that she's going to use. But if she's talking to, just as she did recently this summer, to a group of 150 women, we're going to use a different bio. Let's see, are we or not? There we go. Personal development coach, not leadership development. Personal development coach, Christy Mallory is the only certified Dare to Lead facilitator in South Texas. So Christy, before you're falling off your chair, I did go on to Brene Brown's website this morning and I did a little search of all of the certified facilitators in Texas. There's about 20, and you are the only one that says San Antonio. I'm not 100% sure if you're the only one in South Texas, but that's what I put up there for an example. Always we want to be completely honest and with integrity on what we do. Oops, hold on a second. Okay, so that's client attraction strategy number one, position yourself as an expert. Strategy number two is to sell your solutions instead of your services. And what I mean by that is you all have a service that you provide, but people don't like to buy services. Now they do buy services, and if you talk about your services, you will sell them. But today, I want to talk to you about having a business that is booked full to capacity with a waiting list. I want to have people waiting in line to buy from you. That's a little bit different. So yes, you can talk about your solution, your services, and yes, people will buy from you. But I want you to speak their language so that when they find out about you, they look like this woman and they're like, yes, this is just what I need, right? And how we do that, my friends, is to speak their language. And this can be subtle or it can be very obvious. Let me give you some examples. Most everybody here has their own business, so we work with an accountant or bookkeeper. Most of us have somebody prepare our taxes. So somebody can put a sign up on their door and they say, I'm an accountant, I'm a bookkeeper, and I'm a tax preparer. And people will come and do business with them. But if we want to create a client attraction business, we're going to say this. I'll handle all of your receipts, categorize your expenses, and file your taxes. It's all done. How many of you are like, yes, here, let me pile that up. Here you go. Here's my shoebox, right? Here's all my stuff. It's the same thing. We're just speaking in their language. People don't say, I'll see you in a couple of hours. I'm going to do my accounting and tax prep. No, they're like, I'm going to go organize my receipts, right? Here's another one. This is one of my favorite ones. Certified professional organizer. Look, people every day hire certified professional organizers. That's the service. My service is I'm a certified professional organizer. Now I'm setting myself apart from other people because I'm certified. Anybody can say they're a professional organizer. Certified, that works. People look up certified professional organizers every day and they hire them. But the ones that I work with that are filled to capacity with a waiting list, What they sell is decluttered closets, an organized workspace, and finally use your garage again. Right? Isn't that easier to buy? I wish we were in the same room so I could see you shaking your heads. All right, here's a good one. How many of you have ever had to have a website designed or redesigned? And especially back in the early days, you could get somebody that would say to you, yes, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna correct all of those HTML messy tags that you have. We're gonna index all of your web pages. We're gonna do some A/B testing to see what works well. And we're gonna repair that JavaScript for you. And you're like, okay, right? Or like one of my clients, Ruth Ann Bowen, you could say, here's what we do. We can give you a pretty powerful website. We'll handle everything, right? Isn't that just a little easier to buy? Oh, thank you. That's just what she gets me, right? She understands me, right? Okay. So I'm going to come off of, well, I'm not going to come off of sharing right now because, you know, that always messes things up. But I am going to look in the chat. Are you getting some ideas? Are you getting some ideas? If you are, type them into the chat. What are you hearing? Now I'm putting my glasses on, so I want you guys to start chatting. What are you hearing that, that is getting you motivated? What kind of ideas are you getting? So Kristen is saying her wheels are turning about solutions. Kristen, what kind of work do you do? It's going to take her a minute to type that up. What other ideas are you all having? Hillary, I'm just seeing your message. Don't worry, I'll give you that one. Okay. Kristen, oh, hold on. Kristen is a bank manager and life. Oh yeah. So she's a bank manager, but a life, weight loss, and stress coach. Those two don't really go together. So it's kind of one or the other, right? So Tiffany, who is the best insurance agent, Tiffany Nolan, definitely look her up. She's focusing on her audience. Uh-oh, I lost it. Too many people typing in. One sec. Yes. See, Tiffany says, focusing on the audience. So here's what you can do. And Tiffany, I know you, and I know most of you women here. If you're good on your feet, you can go into a room to give a presentation and you could have a whole presentation about car insurance and nobody in the room drives. You switch it around and you talk about home insurance instead. You talk about this. Okay, so Amy's talking about, oh, Amy's in the healing industry. Amy, will you type in, you're a holistic practitioner, but will you type in what you do? Because I'll try to use some examples about that. And we have another Liz. By the way, I'm an Elizabeth and my assistant is Elizabeth also. So I'm Beth and she's Liz. And we seem to attract a lot of Beths and Liz, don't we, Liz? Let's see here. Great. Heidi is saying that she needs to do more speaking, and I have a feeling that's coming for you, Heidi. Heidi, do you remember we first started working together? That was on our list of things to do. Okay, so Gretchen is saying she needs to figure out her niche within her business and services. So Gretchen, start doing that. And what you might want to do is, number one, I don't ever tell my clients that you can only do one thing. But I do tell them that you can only do one thing at a time. So what I would do is make a list of everything that you like to do, and then we pick what we want to do first. Sometimes it's what makes the most money, and sometimes it's what brings you the most joy. And sometimes if you're overwhelmed, a tip for you is make a list of everything you never want to do again. That's a good first list to do. Okay, it's going too fast for me. Oh, Beth, who I was just with last week from Tennessee, she wants to publish articles. I'm really good at, I have been doing that for years, and that really helps you to get speaking. So Amy is a mindfulness coach and energy healer. So Amy, if you don't mind, I'm going to use you as an example. Amy obviously knows what a mindfulness coach and energy healer is, but a lot of people don't. She says, I also distribute Young Living oils. And Amy, in your world, everybody knows what that means. But if they know what Young Living oils means, they probably already buy Young Living oils. So we want to introduce yourself in a way that talks about the people's problems. So think about that a little bit. It's totally different. Okay, let's see here. Awesome. Okay, so let's get back to it. I love your ideas. Keep them coming. So strategy number one was position yourself as an expert. And strategy number two was solutions instead of services. And number three Those first two are pretty easy to take, but I want to tell you something. This is the one that I really begin to get pushback on with my clients. And when I see pushback in this is what I've learned over the years. Some people are not ready to be visible. And if they get uncomfortable in these first two activities, it doesn't mean that I won't work with them. It just means that I have to slow down a little bit and make sure that I have them where they're ready to be. But I really get resistance from almost every client on this strategy, and that is turning your solutions into packages. And I think there's a couple of reasons why people resist this. I think it's because it's very different than what they've been taught, and it's very different than what they see their colleagues doing. And we all kind of want to fit in, right? But listen, I don't want you fitting in. I want you to be way ahead of everybody else. I want you to be the one that's not like everybody else. So that's one thing that makes people uncomfortable. And the other thing is when we turn our solutions into packages, most of the time we give ourselves a good raise. And sometimes people have issues with healer to realign those beliefs for you. But why do we want to turn our solutions into packages? I'm going to give you some examples if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about. The reason we want to do that is when you have a solution, this is my solution, this is what I offer, that is a yes or no choice. Yes or no. Yes, I can help you. I can work with you. Here's what I offer. That's a yes or no decision. When you're offering a solution, you're giving the client yes or no choice. When you offer them 2 or 3 packages, it is yes, which package? Isn't that interesting? So here's an example. This is Ruth Ann Bowen, and she's a web designer that does pretty powerful websites. Okay, so when I met Ruth Ann, she did web design services. It was $150 an hour. And guess what? Ruth Ann was busy. She had plenty of clients because her work is excellent. But Ruth Ann was hectic. She had all kinds of people coming to her, all different kinds of people coming to her. People that needed total website overhauls, people that needed just a little bit of this. It was just everything. And she was feeling overwhelmed at managing all of that. And what we did was position her in a way that she attracted her ideal clients, okay? So can I hire you to fix my website? Yes, you can hire me to fix your website. It's $150 an hour. And that's actually pretty reasonable in the web design world. And most people call out to a web designer when they really need it done. And so she was getting yeses all day long over the $150 an hour. But you know what? That was causing her to have to constantly monitor her time and do some kind of complicated billing. But she was busy and she was working. So let me show you what we did. Ruth Ann started positioning herself, and she would give a presentation on how to attract a pretty powerful website. And at the end of her presentation, she would say, listen, you guys have lots of tips that you can do yourself, but if you want to work with me, I have 3 ways that I work with people. I have 3 different categories. Which category are you in? Are you the person that has no time? Are you the person who's a non-techie? Or are you totally ticked off about your website? And then she would go into the 3 different packages that she offered. And I was there her first time. That Paul even went with me her first workshop, and people would come up to her. I'm a non-techie. You know, I'm a number 1, I'm a number 2, I'm a number 3. I saw Francine is on here. Francine, you were at that workshop with me. And in the room, most people, by the way, when you offer packages, most people are in your package number 2. That's where most people commonly fit. People feel comfortable in the middle, right? You have a few people that are in the category 1, most people in category 2, and then you have 1 or 2 people are like, here, honey, take the whole thing. Just take it. I don't want to ever look there again, right? That's 3 packages. So now it's like, yes, I want to work with you. Now, which one should I pick? I'm either a 2 or a 3. Now we're having a conversation with Ruth Ann. Should I be a 2 or 3? Do you see how that works? Okay. So here's another really interesting and one of my favorite examples. As I said, people who do professional organizing are very, very busy. And most organizers around the country, at least in this part of the country, charge $70 an hour. So what do? Somebody calls them up on the phone or goes to their website and says, I have a problem. My office is a disaster. I can't get any work done. I have a new office in my living room because my kids are now home, right? Whatever the situation is. And can you help? And the professional organizer says, yes, I can do that. It's $70 an hour. And then the person says yes or no. And a lot of people say yes, but some people say $70 an hour. You know what? I wonder if my son's girlfriend could help me, or I wonder if my neighbor, I'll just have my sister come over. Maybe they'll start to think that's a little bit pricey. And how many hours is it going to be? I mean, now a good professional organizer should be able to do like an average messy room in about 3 hours, but you might think your room is a disaster and you're looking at it, you're going, this is easily 10 hours, right? Because you don't know. So that's a yes or no. $70 an hour, yes or no. What about this? Well, now, if you're a professional organizer and listening to this, this is after you do the consult. You don't do this, you don't answer this question like this over the phone. But after you've come and seen the job, right? You can say, yes, I can help you with that. A whole office overhaul, which is going to help you regain your peace and productivity, will be $450. Now, how you price that package is a different workshop, okay? Because if I'm doing something like this, I'm going to put a time limit on it. And I'm going to say, plan on that taking us 4 hours. What's 5 times 7? 5 times 7 is 350. So I might say, plan on that taking about 4 or 5 hours, right? You don't want to say that I'll come over to your house for the next 2 weeks every day, right? So that's not this class, but I just want to put that out there. So which do you think is an easier yes? Your whole entire office, one Saturday afternoon, I'll be there for about 4 hours, $450. You're like, let's do it, right? Or how about this one? How about finally drive into your garage again? $350. And you know what? If it took you 3 hours to do their garage, do you see that you're actually making more money? Isn't that interesting? One of my favorite phrases. Listen, packages can work for almost any situation. I do work with a lot of people in finance and law. And yes, we can do packages in finance and law. I work with a lot of people in the healing areas, the holistic packages. So here's an example of people who tell me this can't work. Massage therapists say, I can't do a package. Here's the way most massage therapists work. Yes, I can do a massage. Yes, you will feel amazing. It's $75 for 1 hour or $95 for 90 minutes. Now, I didn't add this in here, but a lot of massage therapists will say, and if you buy 3, I'll give you 20% off. Pay for 3 massages in advance, because that's what they teach in massage therapy school in the one class that they do on marketing. Okay, so pay attention. 75 for an hour, 95 for 90 minutes. And I want you to imagine that you've just called a massage studio and said, look, I haven't had a massage in over a year. Number 1, can you see me this week? And number 2, how much is it? And they say 75 for an hour, 95 for 90 minutes. Or what do you do if they say this? Yes, we do. I offer a customized 90-minute massage experience. And what that includes is you can spend as much time as you like, and not COVID, but much time as you like in the relaxation lounge before and after your massage. You will receive personalized attention to all of your pain points. You'll receive a custom blended essential oil. The towels are heated. There's a private makeup and hair station and a personalized healing plan or a personalized nutrition plan. And that's $150. Now, for those of you here today who are not massage therapists, would you be like, yes? Like, can you say yes in the chats if you would buy that $150 package? And if that's more appealing to you than 75 or 95? And if you're in the healing business, did you notice that everything that I included in the bullets, except for probably the last one, is already included? You already have a relaxation lounge. You already give them personalized attention. You already have a whole shelf full of essential oils. You don't usually use them, but you have them. You already heat their towels. There's a private and beautiful bathroom where they can do their makeup and hair. A personalized nutrition or healing plan is something that is so easy to create, and we create it one time and you fill it out for everybody based on the conversation that you had with them. Do you see how I just gave you just doubled your income? If that person was going to buy a $75 massage, they are willing to now pay you $150 because you packaged it. A lot of you who sell something over and over again don't realize everything else that you include. And that is what makes you so special. All right, so strategy number 4, educate and inform. And I don't know if Lisa Kroll is on here with us today. I don't think I saw her come in before I put up the slides. But Lisa Kroll has been a client of mine for a very long time. And in fact, I helped her name her firm, which is Park Avenue Wealth Management Services. She's an excellent financial advisor and very, very good advisor on investing. And she's definitely proven herself over the past few months. When Lisa opened her firm in 2017, we really wouldn't say then that she's been a financial advisor for more than 10 years when she bought her own firm, but we wouldn't say like owner of Park Avenue Wealth Management since 2017. We wouldn't even say that today. That doesn't really make you feel like she's been around very long, right? So we had to use another way to position herself. Now she's a certified financial planner. She has that certification. But what she does is she does community education, and she has aligned herself with her township. And so her face is not with her logo here, it's with Hempfield Township. And every single month, Lisa gives a workshop to Hempfield Township community. So she is now aligned with Hempfield Township, and that immediately gives her some prestige that sets her apart from other people. And she's giving education, she's informing people, she's getting to know people in the community, she's getting to know people at the Hempfield Township, people who are leaders, because she's in that building during normal times every single month. So educating and inform could be speaking. This is another one of my clients, Vanessa. I think I did see Vanessa here today, and this is one of my favorite pictures of her. There are a lot of ways that you can educate and inform. Lisa educates to the community. Vanessa does invitation only, small group for leaders in her industry. So they're more like VIP, they're a little bit higher level than lunch and learns, but it's another way of speaking. There's a lot of ways that you can educate. You can do online videos. Some of you get my online videos every Monday. You can do white papers. Your article could appear in a community magazine. Sometimes you can get that placement for free. Sometimes you can get that placement by paying for it. You can educate people with a blog, with newsletters, which can be many organizations still use print newsletters, but also many use online. Industry magazines, you guys, that is such an overlooked opportunity. Just whatever industry you work in, they probably have a magazine or a newsletter. You could write your own how-to book. You know, my friend Lindsay Smith, if you've always wanted to write a book, you know what, Maureen from Texas, we talked about this a long time ago. My friend Lindsay Smith has this new workshop that she's doing called the Tiny Book Project. And just tiny books, like 30, 40 pages, a little how-to book or a little instruction book about your business, okay? Or an ebook that you do that's 15 or 20 pages. And this is another one of my clients. This is Heidi Sadecki, another one of my favorite photos. Heidi is another Townsend leadership director up here in Western Pennsylvania. And this is her talking at her own private events. That's another place that you can educate and inform, and it gives you positioning, because people at the private events now see how good you are. They go back to their companies and say, we really need to get Heidi in here to give us to give everybody this training, right? Community workshops, executive briefings, small exclusive networking events is something that I still do to grow my business. You could do lunch and learns at companies, conferences and trade shows. Remember, the push marketing buys a table at a conference and trade show. The pull marketing is a speaker at a conference and trade show, okay? Private events and retreats are also places that I educate and inform. All right, we're here to the 5th one. How are you guys doing? Let me check my time. Strategy number 5, make it easy to work with you. Almost everybody needs a little refinement in their systems of taking money. And we can always make it easy to work with, easier. We can always find a way to make it easier for people to buy from you. But have you ever been on a website, I hope it hasn't been mine, where you were just like, oh, that was so easy, right? Amazon really has that nailed. QVC really has that nailed. We don't have the budget of QVC and Amazon, but I want us to do the best that we can to just have people delighted when they find you and delighted to give you their money. I love it. You know, I like to give donations, and I get asked to do a lot of donations. And you know what I like, you guys? I like it when the donation places take PayPal, because when they take PayPal, I don't have to go find my purse and pull out my credit card and type it in. It's a little tiny thing, but PayPal has all that information stored. So if a charity or an event that I'm going to takes PayPal, it's an easy yes for me and I can do it. How can you make it easier to work with you? And that could be a whole 2-hour workshop. So who is feeling excited and who is feeling ready to implement? And does anybody have something that you'd like me to strategize with you on? I'm going to give you a whole recap of all 5 client attraction strategies. Plus, I'm going to tell you the biggest mistakes people make, give you some success tips, and I promise to end that part up by the end of the hour. And then after that, I'll take all of your individual questions and strategizing, okay? But right now, I have something exciting to announce. I have a special invitation for you. I am offering for the first time ever a client attraction bootcamp. And that's for those of you who want to fill your practice to full capacity, but it might not be in your budget to hire a one-on-one coach right now. And there's a link right there on the screen that you can click on if you want to run and get the details. Client Attraction Bootcamp, if you are ready to do this and you want to do it before the holidays get here, let me tell you what it is. We are going to meet 4 consecutive Thursdays in October, the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th at 12 noon Eastern time. So make those adjustments. I know I have people from across the country. We're going to spend a whole session. And by the way, these sessions are not 1 hour. They're about 1 hour and 15 minutes up to 90 minutes. These are intensives, okay? So you will want to block 90 minutes for these workshops. We're going to talk about packages and we will workshop them together. I am expecting this to be a small group so we can workshop together. Look, I have a lot of ideas, but it's so good to get input from other people, especially if they're your kind of client at your own target market. So number 1, design irresistible packages. How to create content that attracts. I saw somebody said that they want to do some content marketing. I've been doing this for a long time and I've learned how to make them short and interesting and exciting and engaging. Creating content that attracts for you, for your ideal client. Number 3 is a whole session on how to make it easy to buy from you guys. I could talk for 2 hours on that. And number 4 is something that I didn't used to teach, but I do now, because I have always taught people how to do things, and they've learned how to do things, and they've gone back to their office, but then they didn't do that. So in the last session, we'll spend the whole time implementing, like getting it started. You will actually be pushing send on your marketing pieces during our workshop with everybody else. And then we're going to also learn how to automate, how to get things automated so that then you can go on to that next thing that you want to do. Remember we talked a while ago about having more than one service that you want to offer? We do one at a time and we get that system going. And then we pull in the other one and we get that system going. And as they get going, we delegate them, we automate them or delegate them. And that's how we get to do more things. There are a lot of special extras for this boot camp, including all of these bonus recorded workshops and checklists. I'll let you read that on the website, but it's pretty robust. There's a lot of extras that you get with this, and anybody that has ever worked with me knows that I tend to overgive. But I think a very important thing about this or any type of workshop that I offer is when you join one of my programs, you are an instant part of a network and support system of like-minded women. Some of you that are here today are in this picture. I think I see Kathy Denorsek. She's right there in the front row. Okay, so how much is Client Attraction Bootcamp? The bootcamp by itself, which is just those 4 90-minute sessions, is $600 right now for just the 4 sessions, which is far, far less than it is to work with me privately. But if you want a little bit extra, if you want the bootcamp plus an additional 2 private sessions with me one-on-one, I like to do, if possible, 1 before we get started and 1 after. Some people do both after. Either one is fine with me. That is $900. So 4 sessions plus 2 private coaching sessions. That is an incredible practical deal, plus a whole new network of people. So these prices are discounted for you who are live here today, and those prices go up on Friday at midnight. So if you are interested, please jump on this. Okay, and with all of the workshops that I do, I guarantee you, live, it's not pre-recorded. I will be there live waiting for you when you click on, filled with content, a positive and motivational experience each week. Every workshop is customized to these students. You will receive an abundance of ideas, enthusiasm, more positive vibes than you can stand, and lots of encouragement. But with everything, all of the results are up to you and your efforts. Listen, friends, we are in a tricky time right now. And no matter what your title, you are a role model. And when you enjoy an abundant life in business, when you step out on that branch and do something a little bit different, you are giving all of the people around you permission to do the same. So if you feel like this is the right time for you, I encourage you to join me for the bootcamp. All right, let's get back to our workshop. 5 steps that we talked about. Number 1, position yourself as an expert. Number 2, offer solutions instead of services. Once you have your solutions, we're going to turn those into packages. Position yourself by educating and informing, and be easy to do business with. Now, before I send you off, okay, I don't want you or expect you to implement all 5 of these steps in the next few days. Choose one thing to do right now. When you get that done, do the next thing, okay? This is not a race. Some of us are doing things that we have never done before. And so some of us don't have time to do something every day for our business. These times, friends, are temporary. So it won't always be this way. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to put your business on hold until COVID-19 is over, or until the election is over, or until an immunization comes out. If you can't do something every day for your business, do something every week for your business. But do something. And when you do that, you're going to move forward and you're going to teach other people to do the same. So let me tell you now the biggest mistakes that I see when people get this information and go to implement it. These are the common and biggest mistakes that I see. This is huge. If you cannot afford to hire a marketing consultant, be very careful that you are not marketing to yourself. And I want to tell you, I haven't had one client yet who hasn't been marketing to herself, including me. But the good news about me is all of you are like me, so it works for me, right? But most of you are trying to fix problems for other people that you either never had or that you've already solved. And so you're talking to yourself. You know, I once had a client years ago who is an author, and she hired me to help sell her book. And I did with her what I do with everybody: some positioning, some publicity, some speaking engagements, some luncheons, right? Some book events where some fundraisers where people would buy the book as a part of their tickets and then get like a picture with the author. Her book was very like it was a techie book, okay? But she really liked teacups and angels and roses. And she wanted the kind of fonts and the colors, and she wanted her stationery to be teacups and roses. That wasn't her audience, but she insisted on having all of the marketing be pretty to her. And pretty to her is not what was pretty to her audience. And if any of you have written a book, you know what that's like, right? As I said, I'm fortunate. The people who read my books are like me, so I love my book covers. But I've known some authors that have hated their book covers, but we're not selling the book to you. So a big mistake is marketing to yourself. using that industry jargon, right? Here's something I've seen a lot lately. You know, people, a lot of people are marketing weight loss services right now. And a lot of weight loss services have their own sort of terms for things. So I see this everywhere. I get it in email newsletters, I get it in the mail. Lean and green meals, lean and green meals, lean and green. Oh, you're gonna do your lean and green. Well, if I didn't buy your package, I mean, of course, I think I know what a lean and green is, but if somebody understands that term, they've already bought it, or they're your competitor, your colleague. So be sure to use not the terms that you use, not that you talk about with your colleagues, but the terms that your clients use. Okay, big, delicious dinner, big filling dinner. That's what they understand, right? What they're afraid of going on a diet is being hungry or eating chicken that was cooked in air, right? Tasty chicken, right? That's the way you want to talk to them. So marketing to yourself is big mistake number one. Waiting until things are perfect. This is something that I've done, and I know everybody does it. It's not perfect. Look, if you downloaded this yesterday before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there are 2 typos on it. Sometimes you just have to get things out. I like to tell my clients to strive for excellence and not perfection, because if we wait till things, oh my gosh, what about Oprah Winfrey? Look at some pictures of Oprah Winfrey from 20 years ago. What if she waited till she had that hair thing totally right, right? What if she waited? What if she waited? How many things we all would have missed if she had waited until things were perfect. But being in the right now is so important. Okay, I think you get it. Using complicated systems. Boy, I can't believe how many of you try to make things as difficult as possible. Honestly, some things you have 11 steps on that we could really do in 3 steps. Look at your systems. Are they kind of overcomplicated, or are they kind of a little bit difficult? And skipping out or going missing. This is a big mistake. I saw a lot of this during the pandemic shutdown, where we had companies, it was sort of a flip-flop. We had companies that were emailing us every day, hey, buy this, do you need this, do you need this, come and get this, come and get that. And then they went radio silent. And then all these other people that we never heard of started sending us, here's our policy, right? Because their public relation offices told them they had to. It's a bad idea to skip out or go missing. It's something we can recover from. But if you decide to move into client attraction, commit to being consistent. Once a month, once a week. Once a week is ambitious. I would start my clients out with either once every couple months, then we go to once a month, and then when you get really good at this, you can get into once a week. Okay, let me give you some success tips, and I promise I'm going to get to your questions. Avoid that urge to overthink. Some of you, I don't even have to go into that because you know what I mean. Remember, one new system at a time. Please, we don't need to be trying to do 5 systems at a time. One at a time. Pick the one that you're most excited about and then go to another one. Now, I'm going to put both of these up at the same time. When you're taking on a new system, write out everything on your to-do list first. And then take it from your to-do list. If you can see this desk, I don't know if you can see it, there's very little paper on this desk. And I used to have to-do lists. I used to have 5, 6, 7 to-do lists. One would be in my purse, one would be hanging on the wall, one would be always here, one was in the bedroom, one was in the kitchen, always writing things down so I didn't forget them. I write things down. This is our new system, and they go immediately into the calendar. I try to be realistic about when will be the time that we can get that. How much time do I need between step 1 and step 2? But listen, I'm going for excellence, not perfection. So if I just made a list with the client this morning. My 9:30 client this morning, she wants to do a publicity plan. And so step number 1 is she created a database on her computer for media contacts. That was step 1. That was all she did. Step 2 was she wrote down a bunch of ideas of people that might want to do a story on her business. And then step number 3 we did together this morning, which was we just Googled a whole bunch of media outlets and put the information into her database, right? 1, 2, 3. So what most of you will do will be set up the whole list in one day, along with 15 other things that you have to do. She really broke it down into bite-sized pieces. Now, if it comes up on Tuesday and you can't do it, it's really not life or death if you move that to next Tuesday. But if you've never written it down, it's probably not going to happen. So calendarize everything. And if it's possible for you, this is a great time to get help. Take it from me, I have learned this the hard way. If you have an assistant or a helper that can help you at the beginning of implementing a system, then you both are figuring it out instead of you figuring it out and then later training them on how to delegate it. It's such a good time to start to make that stretch and get some help. Okay, that's my last tip for you. I am going to, let's see what else I have on my slides. Let me remind you about BootCamp. The prices increase on Friday. It's not going to be for everybody here, but you know already if BootCamp is for you, if this is the right time. And if it's not for you, we'll work together next year, okay? But if it's for you, let's do this. I'll be so excited to have you. And definitely, especially for those of you who are new to me for the first time, stay connected with me. There is so much great content on my website, coachbethcaldwell.com. And I always have the Shift program, which many people here today have done with me. So let's definitely stay connected. Now I'm going to stop sharing. Hi, everybody. Feel free. And Liz, I'm going to ask you to stop the recording because I like to answer your questions